All right, aloha, free radicals of all shapes, sizes, colors, denominations, orientations, educations. My name is Dave, and this is the Radical Independent. Welcome. A new poll, courtesy of Political Polls. Saw this over on Twitter. My friend Shauna, who is always very busy, she's getting lots of information, and she tweets it out. And this is a scary poll. It's kind of a hybrid poll, combines a bunch of states, Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina, all early primary states. Biden's still in the lead. That's kind of shocking, but he is down 3 points. Bernie Sanders. Look, Bernie is my fallback position. Even though I don't like Bernie maybe 20% of the time, might be 25, 30% of the time. I don't like some of the things he's doing or saying. He is light years better than any of the other candidates other than Tulsi Gabbard. But Bernie's having a great week, and his numbers continue to go up everywhere. I think, too, they throttle down these polls because I think Sanders might be in the lead in every poll, including a national poll. I think there was one shock poll that came out that had Biden and Sanders tied. Warren is up a point, but I don't think that's an accurate representation of what's going on in her campaign right now. Tom Steyer. Again, I told people about Steyer. The problem for Steyer now is Bloomberg is in. So instead of just having a hedge fund guy who's kind of a globalist, you've got Bloomberg, who's an oligarch and a globalist. Bloomberg isn't. There are no other candidates running right now, anyway, who are actual oligarchs. Biden is not an oligarch. He's just a goofy guy from Delaware. Tom Steyer is close. Okay, Tom Steyer is a wannabe oligarch. Pete Buttigieg would like to work for an oligarch. He's at 8%. I think he may finally be fading because there are a bunch of people, both neo-libs and neo-progressives and regular progressives, who have figured out that Mayor Pete he's got no chance because he's never going to appeal to the minority community, especially the way he's run his city, and people are figuring that out. And that's being a mayor. That's the disadvantage you have unless you've completely rebuilt your local, infrastructure from the ground up, and your economy is level and so forth, and his is not level. It's favors white, wealthy people, and that seems to be his main constituency. Andrew Yang hanging in at 4. See, where's Tulsi? Where Tulsi should be right in here somewhere. Tulsi should be anywhere between Warren and Harris in this poll. And nationally, I was told the numbers are looking good, that she's ahead of Kamala Harris, but she's not on this poll. Which, again, shame on Morning Consult if they just left her name off, or they're doing such bad polling that her name's not showing up. Because I guarantee you she's got momentum. And, if I'm a conspiracy theorist and somebody who is rooting for Tulsi Gabbard despite the reality, which these polls aren't reality, because until people actually vote, it doesn't really matter. I mean, they say, Tom Steyer is at 9% in this poll. Really? That's just weird to me. But I was afraid of the guy, and I'm still afraid of him. And he's been running a lot of ads, and those ads are starting to have some effect. Kamala Harris at 2%, she really should call it a campaign. If you saw Saturday Night Live last week, and the Tulsi portrayal was awesome, by the way. If you haven't seen the SNL skit, you need to go watch. And I typically hate that show, or just I'm neutral about it, because basically they do really dumb skits where Orange Man bad skits, I call them, and comedy has really retracted since Trump became the president, because he's an easy target. So rather than make a real joke, they just make fun of Trump, and people either laugh or they vent, they get it out of their system how much they hate Trump. So that's why they like these comedians, even though most of these comedians really aren't that funny. Bloomberg. There is Mike Bloomberg suddenly appears in a poll. Now it says he's -1 too. And this is the post-debate poll. This is prior to Bloomberg's announcement from what I can tell. I didn't get the dates of the poll. Doesn't really say, but it is the post-debate poll. So Bloomberg shows up and Amy, shake my head, Klobuchar. Man, I don't know what was going on with that. I think people are going to start to wonder if Amy's on something. So I don't think Amy's going to go anywhere. But Mike Bloomberg, he's an oligarch. He's like the 5th richest guy on the planet. He's been threatening to run. He sees an opening because Biden is weak, Warren is weak, Mayor Pete is weak. Those are your top 3. When Steyer, he knows he can outspend. And Steyer, I think, it would fade under the weight of Bloomberg, who has at least been the mayor of New York City. And I don't know. It's really irritating that the focus of this race is probably going to be between an oligarch, an old man who's cognitively challenged, a woman who faked her identity in order to get ahead of life in life, a mayor who's gentrified his city and who has really no practical real world experience, who was really part of the Ivy League, and everybody he knows behaves like that and talks like that. And I don't know, he's not really relatable to most of the population. And then, of course, you got another, billionaire in Tom Steyer. And if you think people didn't like... And this is an advantage for Bloomberg not being at the debates. Think about this for a moment, right? So what would Bloomberg get hit on if he were at the debate? Well, you're Bernie Sanders. You're the 1%. You own most of the 1%. Not only are you the 1%, but you're like the 0.001%. You're that high up on the ladder. He'd be an easy target. The DNC faithful would see that. But Bloomberg, he just is going to steer around that, and which I actually think is a smart move in general, because the debates are nothing but, they do help here and there with you get a bump if you have a really good debate, but it's on the ground stuff. And Bloomberg doesn't have to do a lot of heavy lifting. He's got, he's going to have Hollywood producers making him spots. And he's going to run those spots endlessly all over the country in battleground states. He'll probably forego Iowa and New Hampshire, although I would think he'll probably run a ton of advertising in New Hampshire. And he'll probably run advertising in South Carolina. I'm not sure about Iowa. I'm sure he'll run advertising in Nevada. So that's the way this looks right now. And what's scary to me is, number one, there's no Tulsi Gabbard. And I think it's by omission. I think it's just, here is a way we can erase Tulsi Gabbard. They've tried everything. They've tried to say she's a Russian. They've tried to say she's an apologist for a dictator. They've tried to say she's got other motivations. She wants to run as a third-party candidate. And on and on. They come up with these crazy things. See, if she were an unlikable character, which she's not, if she was somebody who had, her own interests at heart, a guy like Bloomberg, he owns a good chunk of the planet. So what's his motivation? To own more of the planet? To bring more of those natural resources here? And to say, hey, I can, my oligarchy is bigger than your oligarchy. And, they'll say, hey, yeah, size matters. Bloomberg for president. And I'm just going to be like, what? You guys want to defeat Trump? A guy with an ego? And you want to put up another guy with this huge ego? And again, it's all about tribalism. And I'll tell you what, if it plays out like this, our political system is toast. It's done. There's no need to participate. Just work locally. work in your local communities to try to make them better, and hope that the militaristic arm, whether that be militarized police. Imagine Bloomberg running with Kamala Harris as vice president. Ouch. Ouch. The two cops. Law and order presidency. And they're going to go run around the country and tell everybody how they're not these cops that lock people up for no reason, for walking on the streets. Really, really sad where we're going with this election right now, but I've got some bad feelings about it. I'm not, by the way, I think Tulsi is okay. I think Tulsi especially is going to be great in New Hampshire, great in Iowa. This might reflect Nevada and South Carolina. I know she's got a hardcore crew down in South Carolina, and this could just be the polling outfits who are being instructed by the DNC, because let's be honest, there's collusion. You know where there's collusion? There's collusion in this election process. Can't prove it, but neither can they prove Trump colluded with Russia. So I'm no better than those guys are, and they've been investigating for 3 years now. All right, I'm done. I'm done with this poll. I'm done with this video. Again, if you can support me, it would be great. I was demonetized yesterday, and I haven't been monetized yet. So if you can help me out via PayPal or Patreon, your support is greatly appreciated. Aloha. See you all soon.